Welcome, everyone. This is the PartsVu Xchange Talks Boating podcast. Here we chat about all things boating with marine industry professionals and enthusiasts who spend all the time they can out on the water.
Hi, this is Tanya Becker, and I'm your host for today's episode of PartsVu Xchange Talks Boating. I'm excited to talk with today's guest, Erika Almond. Erika is the owner of Offshore Therapy based in St. Petersburg, Florida. She's a fishing and boating subject matter expert, particularly focused on helping women gain experience and confidence on the water. She runs fishing tournaments in the St. Pete area, including the Suncoast Ladies Classic, that's a women's-only tournament. She also co-hosts Livin the Water Life, a weekly show on CarbonTV. I'm sure many of our listeners will be interested in Offshore Therapy's fishing apparel designed specifically for female anglers. Their line also includes really sharp apparel for men and kids. Erika is a woman of many talents with a lot of experience and great stories to share.
Thanks so much for being here, Erika.
Yes, I'm super excited. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Erika does a lot of great work in this space, but if you Google her, the first search results aren't going to be any of those things. Rather, it's a news article reporting her encounter with a great white shark in January of 2021. This is what the people really want to know, Erika. So what happened out there?
So we were about 60 miles offshore out of St. Petersburg, Florida, and we were fishing for yellowtail snapper and chumming them up just like you do for any of your snapper out there. And all of a sudden, we kind of saw something in the distance and thought, well, that's kind of strange. And we all kept fishing, and it started to get closer, and you see this massive fin out of the water, and sharks aren't unusual here in our area. But as it got closer, we realized very quickly that it was actually a great white shark. None of us had ever seen a great white shark out of Tampa Bay ever. So obviously it got our attention. The couple of things that made that experience super unique for us was typically when the sharks show up, the bite turns off. That didn't happen for us. We still caught fish. The shark didn't bother any of the fish we were bringing up, but if we were to throw the fish back because they were undersized or out of season, he went for those, no problem. And the other thing the shark did that was different was that it rolled over on its back at one point. And I'm still not 100% sure why. And it attacked our motors over and over again. And it did this for a solid 2 hours, and it didn't go away. And it would come up and it would bite the motors or the back of the boat. It would come and grab the fish that we were throwing back. It would roll over on its back. And I mean, it literally just hung out with us. At the very, very end, the shark came back for another pass and went under the boat and hit it and like rocked the boat a little bit and then took off, and we never saw it again.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Did you feel threatened at all, or?
It was weird. So at first you're kind of like, wow, this is a massive great white shark coming up to the boat and it's clearly biting the motors. But then because it hung out for so long, none of us were worried. I mean, we weren't getting in with it. So he just kind of hung out, and it became incredibly fascinating. And yeah, I mean, we even pushed him away a couple of times because we were trying to fish. And clearly he was too. And we were even able to push him away from the boat a few times.
Wow, that's crazy.
It was crazy. Mm-hmm.
On whole, I think I saw pictures somewhere on one of the video clips or photos out there of you guys actually pushing it away.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
on
100%.
whole, I would probably not think that touching a shark is a great idea. Well, so
no.
maybe people out there shouldn't do that.
We never said it was a great idea. We just said it was an idea.
We have to have a disclaimer on the PartsVu podcast. Yes. Like, don't touch sharks in the wild.
Right, for sure. There's a lot of things you shouldn't do. Yes, that would be one of them.
So how did you fall so deeply in love with fishing? I mean, this is basically your life at this point, I think.
Yeah, yes, it's true. It's definitely a passion of mine. I grew up in Gainesville, Florida, so there wasn't a lot of opportunity for saltwater fishing there. We did a lot of lake fishing and dam fishing there with my stepfather. And then my husband actually is from Panama City, and so he grew up saltwater fishing. And I had gone a few times, but I would say my real kind of love for it came when he and I started doing this together. I went to Panama City with him a couple of times and fished and caught my first redfish up there. And it was so big, I thought it was a shark because I just had no idea what I was getting into. And I got, for lack of a better word, hooked at that point. And so we actually moved to Michigan for 5 years for his work. And I was a classroom teacher forever. I taught elementary school, middle school, and some high school for about 20 years. And while we were in Michigan, I started the first ever snow ski club for children with learning disabilities up there and would teach them to ski every winter. And I am saying that because then when we moved here to St. Petersburg about 11 years ago, I always want to make sure I want to do whatever the things are that you do with where you live. And we have an amazing fishery here. It's absolutely amazing. And we first bought a inshore bay boat, and then we also bought an offshore boat about 5 years ago, and 5 or 6 years ago, and it just snowballed for me. As soon as I got out there and got out to that blue water where the cell phones don't work, and you see all the life offshore and the things that you catch, and really you are your own thing out there. You're fighting these fish and landing them, and it's just, oh my gosh, it's so incredible. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, wow, how can we make this better? And we started talking about how, God, it's always nice to get a little offshore therapy when you go out there. And my other kind of big thing was I love all the clothes out there, but I didn't feel like there was really anything specific geared towards women too. And I really wanted to get more involved in this and have other women fall in love with it like I did. And it just takes an experience to do that. And that was it for me. I mean, I go out there as much as I possibly can, whenever I can, whether it's on my boat, somebody else's boat. If someone asks me, I'm typically in. If I can figure it out, I'm going.
I think that's a great way to help women fall in love with anything, is to have cute clothes and accessories and things to correspond.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that is one of my biggest pet peeves in any space, when there's not clothing that are tailored to women, whether it's like at work and you're supposed to wear a shirt and, they hand out the shirts and they're all men's shirts.
They're men's shirts and they just cut them smaller, and then they say they're women's, and they're not tailored to women's bodies. And we look fundamentally different, in case guys haven't figured that out.
They figure it out in most other contexts, but not when it comes to like these shirt situations.
Exactly. So yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, you've started, really, as you said, becoming very active in making space for women in the sport of fishing, and including competitive tournament fishing.
Absolutely.
What all are you doing to help women fall in love, like with the sport, like you did, in addition to the clothing line?
So I started a women's fishing group called Girls That Fish. And basically what we do is we come together, and some of them are very knowledgeable, and some of them it's their first day, but they're interested, they're excited, they want to know more because they live here too. Maybe their husbands go and they want to get, involved with it also, so they at least understand. So I actually just started running like little seminars out of my house, and it would be, hey, if you want to come learn how to throw a cast net, let's get together and let's figure it out together and do this. Do you want to learn how to tie fishing knots, and which ones are better depending on what you're actually fishing for? What kind of line do you use? Who can we ask to figure that out? And so what I discovered was, if it was an environment where we were learning together, women were more likely to want to participate versus someone just spouting knowledge at them. We wanted to do it together. And I'm certainly not an expert in any of it, but I'm getting better because we are growing together as a group. So like, I have some friends that are amazing at docking boats. Well, guess what? She gets to show us how to dock boats, things like that. So, and I've had a lot of help. I work with the Farner family on the Suncoast Classic events. I got involved with them doing the Suncoast Kingfish Classic out of St. Pete. They run it in the spring and fall. This is their 30th year. And I started fishing those tournaments and then got involved with them. I love everything they do. The proceeds go to charity, a local charity, Ready for Life, helping youth that are aging out of foster care. And so I thought that was really admirable. And they are all about helping promote women on the water as well. So they gave me a platform to be able to start the first ever women's offshore fishing tournament this summer. And so with that, I didn't want it to be about, we're sticking women on a boat where it's completely still driven by men and the men are telling them what to do and fundamentally catching the fish for them. There's going to be seminars ahead of time. So if it's, hey, I've always wanted to do this. I don't have a husband or a boyfriend or me that has a boat or knows how. Will you help me? And so we're going to team them up with tournament winning captains as well in this area to help guide them along the way. And then they'll drive the boat for them that day, but then they're going to be in charge of fishing their tournament. And it's going to be a multi-species offshore tournament.
Yeah, you structure. First of all, I just wanted to let people know the tournament is June 30th to July 2nd in St. Pete.
Yep.
This year. Yep. I think the tournament got canceled maybe for
because
1 or 2 years because of COVID.
We had issues with permitting for large groups like that within the cities of St. Pete. So we're going to run it out of Tiki Docks Bar and Grill at Maximo Marina for that June, July date that you just named.
Yeah, awesome. So we're back. Yay. It's going to be,
amen.
it's on this year.
Yes.
And as you mentioned, I mean, you've structured this in a really kind of a little bit of a unique way. It's a multi-species tournament. Can you just, walk through that a little bit?
Yeah. So a couple of things. So there's a category, I'm calling it the brag category. So you've got blackfin tuna, red grouper, American red snapper, and gag grouper. Now, the American red snapper is a tricky one because they change that season every year. So I'm crossing my fingers that it's going to happen. If not, then that's going to be a photo catch and release that we're teaming up with the CCA down here for conservation. And so you can place first, second, or third in each of those categories to win real cash prizes. Because one of my kind of big things is, you enter these tournaments and for women specifically, and what do you win? A couple $100 and listen, I think it's all great, jewelry, gift cards, or raffle. I want women to go for like real money, and just like the men do. And I want them to, because they will have prepared, they will have learned, they will have figured out where these fish are, either with their captains that they've teamed up with, or because they have somebody that can help them, or they know themselves. We're going to teach them the correct bait to use. They're going to be prepared for this tournament is my goal. And then we're going to also have like a mixed bag category where whoever catches the most species within that mixed bag wins that as well. And then we're going to have a photo sailfish category. So it's really kind of everything that's out there. You have a chance.
Yeah, it's when we first talked in preparation for our conversation today. I mean, you shared that so many of these ladies divisions of various tournaments. I mean, women win jewelry gift cards or have to wear goofy costumes or whatever it is. I mean, it still makes my blood boil thinking about that.
Yeah, a lot of them do that. And I mean, and I get it. And I understand why they're doing what they're doing. And that's fine. But I just wanted to give a platform where everyone was comfortable. If you don't want to fish in your bikini, you don't have to. And we're still going to draw people in. If you do, I don't really care either. But it's not going to be, we're in tutus and decorating boats. And no, I'm not doing any of those things.
Good. Yeah. And to your point, if you want to wear a tutu, you want to decorate your boat, knock yourself out. Out.
Now, since it is July 4th weekend, we are going to do some sort of, red, white, and blue theme.
Yes.
But it's nothing like that.
I think that's a fairly gender neutral kind of a theme.
Exactly. Exactly.
And, the thing is, I mean, fishing is it's not a strength, like an explosive muscle sport like basketball or track where you're sprinting. I mean, the gap between men and women, it's just skill and experience, right? I mean, it's nothing more than
100%
that.
opportunity. Skill, experience, and opportunity is what I think. Like you've got to, especially here, you've got to know where the fish are too. So I do think, which goes to your point of experience also, but that changes, right? So, I mean, some of the fish are migratory and some of them, are going to hole up in different places depending on what the water temperatures are or the fishing patterns are at that time. And so I think having opportunity and experience and some skill, anybody can do it.
I know in the pro bass levels, which, bass and saltwater fishing it's a little bit different, but obviously the concept is the same,
right?
Catch fish.
Yeah.
I know some of the, the older school, like top level people. I mean, the game has changed a bit with all the electronics. You know, it's become a bit more, I would say a bit more like opportunity neutral, like more people, you have the opportunity more to gather the information that you need to fish effectively. But, you know, before the electronics really came big on the scene, I know some of those top level people, they performed so well because they had a network of people feeding them information.
That, you know, they're out there every day too. You know,
and they're out there every day.
Constantly. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and so the other kind of part to that too, when you pay attention to tournaments, or you know, your boundaried tournaments versus your non-boundaried tournaments, and so all of the ones I participate in do have boundaries, and the thing that creates for anyone is that you don't have to have the biggest, fastest, baddest boat out there. We're all fishing in the same space. Granted, it's still vast,
big space.
But yeah, but you know, because what was happening a lot of times is if you've got quads on the back of your boat, you can race down to the Keys and catch a bigger fish and make it back in time. Where if I've got a single engine, you know, I'm not going to come anywhere close to you, so I don't really have a chance. So why on earth would I want to participate? So I really like the boundaried tournaments as well.
And you're also partnering, as you said, with the CCA Florida, which is great. I mean, those are you take a photo, release,
We're
you know,
have
entries, right?
Tools for everybody to make sure all the fish have a fighting chance to live. So we're not, you know, it's not some big fish kill either for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's great. So what kind of response have you gotten from, you know, women? Are a lot of women excited to participate? I mean, you know,
Yes.
What are you hearing out there?
Yes, they are. As we start promoting this, I'm getting lots of positive feedback going, finally, something for me, finally, something that where I get to participate and learn something new. And, you know, and as I explain kind of the platform of how this is going to work, I want, the biggest thing is I don't want them to feel intimidated. Because sometimes when you hear offshore, you're like, and it is a different animal. But if we support you all along the way, I just want to grow the sport of fishing for women. That's it. That is all it comes down to, in a family-oriented and team-oriented way. That's all I want.
You know, as you said, you'll have some men that are helping captain the boats and so forth. But
absolutely.
But give us 10 years and we'll be captaining boats for the men's tournaments. I mean,
that's right. And some are. Some of them are. Absolutely, they are.
Exactly.
I fished with some amazing women that are captaining boats. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to take just a second to think about this issue from the marine and fishing industry perspectives. And, you know, all of us out there who support those industries, which is pretty much everyone listening to this, and certainly you and I included. I mean, I often believe that doing the right thing is often also good business.
Of course.
And, you know, on top of simply making space for women in boating and fishing, which I contend is the right thing to do, I mean, engaging women in these sports doubles the customer base for these industries.
Yeah, we can spend money like nobody's business. I don't get it either. Like, if you include women in all of this, man, I would imagine that sales would quadruple overnight, because we love to shop and we're very, very good at it. And,
that's right.
And it's the most expensive sport there is. If you can imagine, you know, women out there buying up fishing rods and boats and accessories and things like that. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me to not get women involved in this.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think businesses and organizations out there can do to help, you know, engage women and girls a little more?
I would just love to see them providing more opportunities specifically for women. So, you know, if it's fishing reels or rods, maybe providing classes where they show them how to use these rods and reels in a real way. Meaning, I just got that as soon as I said it out loud. But, you know, like actually taking them out and showing them how to use these products so that they understand, because I can tell you women get on the boat all the time and they hold them upside down, or they don't know what to do, or some of them are really heavy. You've got to know, or how do I even pick a reel to begin with based on the type of fishing I'm doing? They don't even know where to begin. And I can tell you, for me, I don't know where to go to find that information, as far as like, is there a class or something like that? But if retail stores that carry these specifically offered those opportunities, I could see women getting involved. Absolutely. Like, I go to the fishing talks that they hold in, you know, places like Boaters Republic here and things like that. And I'll tell you what, I'm typically the only female in there, maybe one other, and it's usually some woman that's been dragged there by their husband. But I'm so fascinated with it and I want to learn. And so they're out there, but it's still very male driven. And so I would love to see opportunities provided for women specifically where they have a place where they can ask questions. And, because like even if I ask a question in this place, you can see the guys start to roll their eyes and whatever. For the most part, they're supportive, but, I don't know unless I learn. And so women need those opportunities. So I think it'd be amazing, like boating companies. Maybe you spent a Saturday a month providing a place where women could come and learn to drive a boat. Because guess what? If they learn to drive a boat, they're probably going to buy one.
Yeah.
Or if, same thing with fishing equipment. If they know how to use it, they're probably going to buy it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, I think that women, not that certainly there's plenty of spaces out there where we should have co-ed spaces, right? I mean, just
absolutely. And I'm not saying this shouldn't be one of them at all.
No, of course. But I mean, women do tend to shrink a bit if they're surrounded by all men who know a lot more than they do about something.
100%.
I even catch, I'm not really, people that know me know that I'm not really one that's prone to a lot of just shrinking, holding back. I'll ask dumb questions. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
But even I catch myself shrinking a little bit in some of those kinds of environments. Mm-hmm. And I'd much rather learn with other women or just people in general that are at my same skill level.
Right. I agree. Yes. And that's what's important to me too.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about this question, the kind of the thought that came to my mind, I'm a distance runner. I love to run.
I'm not running unless someone's chasing me. So God bless you on that.
I'd love to fish and just be outside in general, but like my primary focus hobby is distance running. And, the first women weren't authorized or allowed really to run the Boston Marathon, really the only prominent marathon at the time, until 1972. Not very long ago.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Like Catherine Switzer, one of my heroes in life, ran unsanctioned in 1967. But just think, people thought that women's uteruses were going to fall out if they ran too much and all this just craziness. But think of how many shoes Nike sells to women just because women run.
That's right.
Nike and all these other clothes, all this stuff. So fishing industry, boating industry, they should step it up too.
Ramp
it up. They can sell a whole lot. I love this industry for all the puns, boat ramp.
Real. Yes. It's all there for sure.
There's a big customer base out there, so they should ramp it up, as you said.
Yes.
So I know that you're as involved in so many interesting projects. As we kind of close out our conversation today, just can you give us a quick rundown of some of the things you're doing and where people can find you out there?
Yeah, sure. So like I mentioned, I'm working on the Suncoast Classic events here in St. Pete for the spring, the fall, and then the Suncoast Ladies tournament in the summer. I also work on a show called Livin the Water Life through CarbonTV, where we meet weekly and talk about topics kind of like this. We typically interview experts within the field, people from FWC, things of that nature. And then once a month, we travel somewhere. So we just got back from Fort Lauderdale and did some things down there. And then we'll go to the Keys next month. The other thing, like I mentioned, I work with my girls' fishing group and try to promote women on the water through experiences and group seminars that we can do to just keep learning together. I've done a few things in Florida Sportsman. I am Florida Sportsman a few months ago in there. And then the great white shark thing that you mentioned. So I'll be on National Geographic as well. And then I also have gotten an amazing opportunity to work in Chile in January 2023 to help promote women as well there in that community, where they're trying to implement programs like this where they're getting women more involved. We're teaming up with universities there. The government's provided a lot of resources for us. They've hand-selected, I think it's 9 women throughout the United States and Canada to come do this. And so it'll be a 3-week program. Some of us will be there for 1 week, some will be for 2, some will be for 3, depending on, where our expertise lies or how we think we can help them in this. And we stay right on the river there at the base of the mountain. They're going to have chefs there. Whatever we catch, we cook, staying in tents, teaching them to kayak, learning how to tie flies together. And that was kind of my push with them, that, this has got to really be about women learning together, not just people coming in and telling them what to do, because then I don't think it's going to be successful. And so that is exactly the model we're using over there. And so I'm super excited about that. And then, I got to do some cool boating things. I just did the Parker Boats thing with them, and that was super, super fun. And I think that's about it. And then offshoretherapy.com, the clothing line that I run as well.
It doesn't sound like you're doing much at all.
I know. I'm sitting around Netflix and bonbons. Here I come.
Need to add a few more things to your calendar.
I know, right? Exactly.
Well, thanks so much for being here today, Erika.
Absolutely. This is fun. I appreciate you including me.
Yeah, of course. I've included a bunch of links in the show notes. Incredibly important. A video clip from one of the news sites that reported on your great white sighting.
Yeah, for sure.
That's important for everybody.
Yep.
And I've also included links to offshoretherapy.com, the Livin the Water podcast, and the Suncoast Ladies Classic site, as well as your social media links. So
perfect.
People won't have any trouble finding you. So thanks again.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This is fun.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the PartsVu Xchange Talks Boating podcast. Are you in a dock war with your boating neighbor for the cleanest boat? Check out our marine soaps, polishes, waxes, and more at PartsVu.com. And for free shipping, use the coupon code PVTalksShine, a special perk for our podcast listeners. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for boating knowledge, to keep in touch with the PartsVu community, and for special sales and promotions. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast, and check out the show notes for the coupon code just mentioned, more information about PartsVu and the products we offer, as well as our boating blog, the PartsVu Exchange. And a big thanks to Mind for performing the original music featured within this podcast.